Do you struggle in your workplace at the moment? Do you want to ask for a pay rise but you don't know how to do it? Do you feel like you're not being valued? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about professional development and how you can ask and get what you want from your workplace and lead a healthier, happier life in your work life. So I'm going to tell you a little story about me. Maybe some of this, it will resonate with you. So my background is working in PR and marketing agencies, which I did for over 20 years. And I have to say, even though there are elements of the job that I absolutely loved, there were also parts of the job that I found really, really challenging. And one of those things was I was very much a yes man. So I was given tasks to do, I did it. I worked overtime, I worked over and above all the time, every day, did everything that was required of me, always went over and above for people, even though actually I was really struggling. I was struggling with my mental health at the time, but I was also struggling to get the work done. But I didn't have the confidence in myself to say no and to put those boundaries in place, because people started to see me as a bit of a workhorse, They knew that I got stuff done. So they gave me more work and I would just take more work on. But actually I was really struggling to keep up. But I never had the confidence to say, no, I need help with this, I need support with this. And I know a lot of people kind of find themselves in this position. And over the years, because I didn't kind of stop and ask for help, or I didn't have those professional boundaries in place with people, it gradually took its toll on my health. And so I don't want you to get to that point. So how can we, if you're resonating with any of this today, how can you ask for help? How can you get that recognition that you want and that you deserve? And my advice would be this: be you ultimately, and have conviction in yourself and the wonderful person that you are and the skills that you have. Because so often we go to work and we go into autopilot and we go and we do our jobs and we come home and we come away from it and we don't get that recognition we deserve, but actually we don't recognize what we've achieved ourselves at the end of that day. Look back at your working day. What have you achieved in that day? Probably loads. You've been really, consistently hardworking that day. You've achieved so much. You ticked all the things off your list you needed to do, but you come away feeling kind of deflated because you're not celebrating yourself and your skills. So don't undervalue yourself. Make sure that you value yourself, and then actually you'll find that others value you more. Another thing that I would say, I kind of mentioned this earlier about being a yes man. I always said yes. I never turned anything down. Elise, can you help me with this? Yes. Elise, can you do this? Yes. Elise, this has got a really, really tough deadline. I know this is going to be a push, but yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. Know your limits and have those professional boundaries. Take on the work that you can do, yes, but don't take on an excessive amount. And if you're working excessively long hours, if you feel like you're going over and above more often than not, and you're not being recognized and valued for that work, or you're really struggling, learn to speak up and say, actually, I need help. I can't carry on like this. Have that confidence in yourself. You're in a workplace, you're speaking to other people. I think it's so easy to get lost in the kind of mentality of, they're my boss, they're the leader of my life, but actually they're not. It's just another person. So just take that confidence in yourself and know when you need to ask for help and do it. Take it out of a kind of work context situation. It's just one person speaking to another person. If you've been wanting a promotion for a while, I was always promised bonuses, promotions, which never came. The harder I worked, the more work I got, but those promotions and those bonuses never came because they knew that I would carry on doing it, because I never once stopped and said, hang on a minute, I need support here, or hang on a minute, I'd like that promotion. And we find it so difficult to ask for things, but it's again all about knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing about the skills that you have and that you're worthy of being paid and recognized for them. Write them down. Write down all of the experience that you've gained over the years and just value that. Know that that's your skill set. There's no one else who has that unique skill set that you do. So don't be afraid to ask for a pay rise and know your worth in the workplace.